everybody, it's Andrea and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to start a new series and it is called In My Bookshelf. I love books. I haven't always been a reader, but as an adult I just love books. I've been known to read about 150 books a year. And of course, yes, I do them via audio. But that doesn't mean I don't get through every book just as much. So it's a cold winter day in Oregon, rainy, windy, yucky. So today I'm going to start off my series. So I'm going to start with the top 100 books that everyone should read as per Amazon. This is a list that I've looked at a number of times. I found the list on Goodreads. Goodreads list will be linked down below in the comment section. And it is the top 100 books on the list. Now, I can't guarantee that this list may not change as time goes on. I am going to start with the books I've read first and then go into the books that I haven't read. I'm not going to give any spoilers, just kind of give the name of the book, the author of the book, and the list in what I think about the book or what I've heard about the book. I will also list the list down below, and I will add the DB numbers from Bard also down below for those people who are on the NLS Talking Books and Bard, so that they can find the books a lot easier. And yeah, so let's get to it. You might see some jumping back and forth because I am having to read the list off of a piece of paper because my phone is clearly being used as the camera. So I do know a couple of them. So the first book that is on the list that I have read is The Diary of a Young Girl. Of course, this is the story of Anne Frank. I read this originally when I was in middle school. There was a special display that was being shown locally, and our school was paying for our 8th graders to go and view this display. And so we read the book prior to the display opening and being able to go see it. So I did read it as a middle schooler. I have read it as an adult as well. I really did enjoy the book. I don't have any links family-wise to that particular era in time and events that did happen, but I did read the book. I did enjoy the book. It's very hard era for a lot of people, and I do understand that. But I do think if you have a child who is learning about, Nazi Germany and stuff like that, and they're really having a hard time understanding what happened, and being able to read it from a child's view, as in diary form, I think might be a lot easier to understand it. So the second book that I know is on the list is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. This is, of course, the first book in the Harry Potter series. I have read all the Harry Potters a couple times, and I've also read or watched the movies. It is the first book. I think everybody kind of knows all about the stories of Harry Potter. Let's see. So the next book on the list that I've read is Jane Eyre. This was not a typical read for me. It was very out of my comfort zone. It was a good book, just not much of a classic kind of books, but that's okay. It was a good book, and it is definitely period related, so you're not much into the historical books, but it was good. I did like the ending. I think the ending was probably one of my favorite parts of this book. It's been a while since I've read it, but it was a good book, and definitely I can see why it's on the top 100. The next book that's on the list that I've read is Little Women. Now, this is another classic book, period book, fiction, but very good. Story about a group of sisters and their mom. I did really actually enjoy this book. This book is also a movie. I don't believe I've seen the movie, but I have read the book as an adult. Very good. I did really like it. I guess, I don't know, the typical people that I had hoped were going to be with each other, it didn't quite end exactly how I expected it, but it was a good book. Very good classic book, and I definitely understand why it's on the list. So next would be The Hunger Games. Now, I've done all 3 of these books, and you'll see some of the books repeat on this list, the different books in the series. Hunger Games is the first book in the series. Definitely a dystopia genre of this book. I think everybody does know it by the movies. I would say the books are definitely better than the movies, which I think is pretty typical for a lot of them. It was a good book. I definitely read it because it was the hype of the books. But typical, I guess, I guess not typical, but dystopia or, futuristic kind of a book. Pretty cool. Definitely had the pieces and parts that I did like. The next book on the list that I read is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This is, of course, the first book in the Chronicles of Narnia, which are pretty popular both in book and in movies. Honestly, it wasn't my favorite, but I did read it. I think possibly it could have been because I was having a hard time with, at the time, I was doing everything via CDs, and I wasn't connected with the NLS or the Bard Books yet, and so I was having to do it with CDs, and people do not appreciate a CD, I guess, and they're constantly being scratched, and they're being destroyed through the library. So for me, it was really hard because I couldn't go on, and I was having a hard time getting through the book. But here it's really popular. Just was not my thing at the time. Will I try and reread it in the future? Maybe. It all depends on my feelings, I guess. The next book on the list that I've read is Of Mice and Men. Now, I read this in elementary school or middle school, I can't remember when. We also watched the movie. I did repeat it as an adult, rereading it. I don't know. It's a good book. It's, not my typical read, but I think it definitely had some good parts and some sad parts. And, it was good. I guess I'm not sure what else to say about it. So the next book on the list is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Now this is the last book in the series, and it was higher on the list, so I'm not sure exactly what this means. This was probably one of my favorite books out of the series. I wasn't a big fan of the movies of this book. I thought it changed it way too much. But the book, I could not put down. I can recall a story of me listening to this book, and I was fighting a migraine, so I was in my bedroom in the dark listening to my book on a CD, and my husband kept checking in on me, seeing how I was doing, and it was about 10 o'clock at night. He walks in and he says to me, it's 10 o'clock. I said, yeah, I've only got a couple CDs. I'm just going to continue my book. I'm not really that tired. And so then he comes in at 11 and he does it again. And I go, yeah, I know. I only have 1.5 more CDs left. I can't put it down yet. And then 12 o'clock rolls around and I was on the last part of the book and the last half an hour. He's like, it is 12 o'clock. You need to go to bed. I said, I can't put it down. I can't put it down. So I ended up finishing it, just binge reading it like crazy. Definitely 2 thumbs up. That was probably my favorite book out of the entire series. So the next book on the list that I have read is The Fault in Our Stars. So this actually started by me watching the movie and then I read the book. So this is a sad book, but I think there is a lot of things to think about as you're reading or watching the movie. It's definitely sad. It definitely does not end exactly how you expect it, but I don't want to give any spoilers. But if you've watched the movie, I think you should read the book. I think they were pretty close. There was some differences, but I think they were pretty close to each other. And I don't think I'll read it again, considering I do know how it ends, and sometimes that's the best part, is not knowing. But it definitely, good recommend. Definitely understand why it's on the list. So the last book in the first 10 books that I have read in this list is Anne of Green Gables, another book that I actually read in elementary school. Not sure if I've read it as an adult, but I definitely read it as a middle schooler and an elementary schooler. In fact, in 6th grade, I was Anne of Green Gables for Halloween. Our school made us dress up. If we were going to be in school dressed up, we had to dress up like a storybook character. So that year, I was Anne of Green Gables. I really like these books. I think they're a really good young adult or even maybe, middle schooler book. They're not a hard read, but they're, I think, a really good book, especially for girls to read. And it's just one of those books that, I did enjoy. And I would probably read these again because honestly, I don't remember a lot of them. So it could be on my to reads again. We'll see. So that is the first 10 books in the 100 books from Amazon that that everyone should read. First 10 that I have read. I forgot to add the authors' names, but I will link all of the books, the name, the author, and the DB number from NLS down below so they're in easy access. I do believe, don't quote me, but I do believe all of them are on Bard for those people who do have the NLS or the Bard system. I will also link the list from Goodreads down below, so you have a quick list to go to. I also do all of my books. I link all my books onto Goodreads so that I know which books I have and have not read. It is really hard when you read so many books to think, have I read this book? And then you get partially into it and you're like, dang, I've read this book. So I will also link Goodreads down below. If you are not part of Goodreads, I would definitely suggest, if you read a lot of books, to get on Goodreads. It's free, and you can actually find a lot of books and a lot of lists from there that you might not think to read. It's definitely opened up my realm of books and finding new ones that from either the authors that I love or genres or books that are like that. So I would definitely recommend that. So see you next time.
If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and make sure you ring that bell for notifications.